Most people believe intelligence is measured by how quickly you solve problems. They are wrong. The most dangerous people in any room are rarely the loudest. They rarely dominate the conversation. They rarely rush to prove themselves. Instead, they watch. They wait. They collect pieces that everyone else throws away. A delayed reply, a forced smile, a compliment delivered half a second too late, a promise that sounds perfect but arrives at the perfect moment for the speaker. While everyone else is listening to words, they are measuring patterns. That difference changes everything. Every betrayal begins with a detail someone ignored. Every manipulation starts with a signal dismissed as unimportant. Every disappointment is usually preceded by evidence that was visible long before the truth arrived. Yet most people never see it because they are trained to react instead of observe. They chase confidence. They trust charm. They reward certainty. They mistake performance for character. Then they wonder why the people they trusted become the people who hurt them. Niccolò Machiavelli lived in a world where survival depended on reading intentions hidden behind elegant speeches and perfect manners. He understood something that remains painfully true today. Human beings rarely reveal themselves directly. They reveal themselves accidentally. Not through rehearsed conversations, not through carefully chosen words, through repetition, through contradiction, through the moments they think nobody is paying attention. Once you understand that principle, every meeting becomes different. Every friendship reveals another layer. Every negotiation carries invisible signals. You begin noticing motives before they become actions. You begin recognizing ambition before it speaks. You begin seeing deception while everyone else is still applauding sincerity. The greatest advantage is not becoming colder. It is becoming harder to surprise. Because the person who sees reality first usually decides how the story ends. And the first lesson begins where nearly everyone makes their biggest mistake. Number 1. Reality never speaks first. Reality is patient. Illusion is loud. That is why deception almost always arrives dressed as certainty. The salesperson who promises impossible results. The colleague who insists they only want what is best for the team. The friend who repeatedly reminds everyone how loyal they are. Notice something. Truly honest people rarely advertise honesty. Competent people rarely announce competence. Secure people rarely beg for recognition. Performance belongs to those who need belief before they deserve it. Character belongs to those who no longer need to convince anyone. This is where most people fail. They evaluate personalities the way they evaluate advertisements. Whoever delivers the strongest message wins attention. But attention has never been proof. Observe a growing company after a difficult quarter. The executive who spends every meeting blaming the economy often reveals more about leadership than the numbers themselves. Meanwhile, another leader quietly accepts responsibility, changes strategy, and lets results answer criticism months later. Both gave speeches. Only one revealed character. Human nature follows the same pattern. Anyone can borrow confidence for a single afternoon. Very few can borrow discipline for 6 months. That is why time is the greatest interrogator ever invented. It forces masks to become heavy. Eventually, every performance becomes expensive to maintain. The polite employee becomes disrespectful when promotion disappears. The supportive partner becomes distant once admiration fades. The generous acquaintance suddenly remembers every favor when they need something in return. None of these transformations happened overnight. They were already there. Time simply removed the costume. Machiavelli understood that power belongs to those who judge repetition instead of isolated moments. One kind gesture proves nothing. One mistake proves nothing. But 20 similar decisions reveal an identity that words can no longer hide. This is why observant people refuse to make fast conclusions. They collect evidence the way experienced investors collect data before risking capital. Every interaction becomes another page in the same file. Every contradiction receives quiet attention instead of immediate confrontation. They are not suspicious. They are patient. Modern life rewards speed, but truth rarely moves quickly. Social media trains people to trust first impressions. Real life punishes those who never look beyond them. The next time someone promises loyalty, resist the urge to believe or reject them immediately. Simply wait. Patterns are always more honest than promises, and once you begin trusting consistency over emotion, you discover another uncomfortable reality. Even genuine kindness can hide a private agenda.
Number 2. Every favor has a shadow. One of the most expensive mistakes intelligent people make is believing selfish motives always look selfish. They do not. They often arrive disguised as generosity, a career opportunity, an unexpected compliment, a helpful introduction, a generous recommendation. None of these are automatically dishonest, but none of them should automatically be accepted as pure. Human beings are experts at mixing self-interest with virtue until even they can no longer separate the two. That is what makes hidden motives so difficult to recognize. Most people ask whether someone is good or bad. The wiser question is different. What outcome benefits them the most if I say yes? Suddenly the picture becomes clearer. Imagine two investors praising the same startup. One already owns shares. The other has nothing to gain. Their words sound identical. Their incentives do not. Incentives quietly reshape perception long before they reshape behavior. The same principle governs relationships, workplaces, politics, and everyday conversations. A manager may encourage you to remain loyal because replacing you would be expensive. A competitor may complement your current strategy because it secretly benefits theirs. A friend may discourage your biggest ambition, not because it is unrealistic, but because your growth would expose their comfort. None of these people need to hate you. They only need their interests to quietly conflict with yours. That is enough. Machiavelli recognized that desire often hides behind respectable language, because desire rarely wants to be questioned. People prefer believing they are acting nobly even when they are protecting personal advantage. This does not make humanity evil. It makes humanity predictable. The observer who understands incentives stops asking who appears sincere. They begin asking who profits from the outcome. That single habit prevents countless disappointments. It also changes the way you judge yourself. Suddenly, your own decisions become easier to examine. Are you defending an opinion because it is true, or because admitting you were wrong would damage your pride? Are you helping someone because they need help, or because you need their approval? Self-awareness begins exactly where comfortable stories end. The irony is that people obsessed with exposing everyone else's motives almost never examine their own. That blindness creates the very manipulation they fear. The clever mind studies both directions. It watches others carefully while questioning itself even more carefully. Because the person who understands hidden motives in others gains awareness. The person who recognizes hidden motives within themselves gains freedom. And without that freedom, every future judgment becomes vulnerable to the one enemy that destroys observation before it even begins. Emotion. Number 3. Emotion is the favorite weapon of every manipulator. Very few people lose because they lack intelligence. They lose because someone else learned how to control their emotions before they controlled their own. Every manipulation begins with a feeling. Fear shortens your vision. Anger speeds up your decisions. Desire weakens your standards. Pride blinds you to obvious contradictions. The moment emotion becomes stronger than observation, judgment quietly leaves the room. That is why experienced negotiators rarely react to the first offer. Elite investigators rarely trust the first explanation. Successful leaders rarely make permanent decisions during temporary emotional storms. They understand that urgency is often manufactured. The person pressuring you for an immediate answer may not be confident. They may simply know that time is your ally, not theirs. Watch what happens during a heated meeting. One person raises their voice, another interrupts repeatedly. A third begins making personal attacks instead of discussing facts. Most people instinctively respond to the emotion. The observant person studies the reason behind it. Why did the conversation suddenly become emotional? What uncomfortable fact triggered that reaction? What is this person trying to protect? Strong emotions are rarely random. They usually guard something valuable. Sometimes it is reputation. Sometimes authority. Sometimes insecurity hiding beneath confidence. Pressure reveals where attachment lives. That is why emotional discipline is more than self-control. It is a method of gathering information. When someone insults you unexpectedly, your first impulse may be to defend yourself. Resist it. Silence often forces people to continue talking. And the longer they speak, the more they expose the motive behind the attack. The same principle applies to praise. Flattery can be just as dangerous as criticism because both can distort perception. One feeds your anger, the other feeds your ego. Both distract you from evidence. Machiavelli understood that rulers who governed through emotion became predictable. Their enemies no longer needed superior armies. They only needed the correct trigger. Human nature has not changed. The workplace has replaced the battlefield. Social media has replaced the public square. But emotional leverage remains exactly the same. Whoever controls your reactions quietly influences your decisions. That is why calm is not merely a personality trait. It is strategic vision. A calm mind notices timing. It notices hesitation. It notices contradictions that emotional people never have time to see. Eventually, people begin wondering why you are so difficult to manipulate. The answer is simple. You stopped treating feelings as facts. You allowed reality to speak before emotion translated it. And once you master that habit, another ability begins to emerge. You stop waiting for disasters to reveal the truth. You learn to recognize them while they are still small enough to ignore.